Stephen is currently the principal academic school advisor for the Changaria School of Business. He served as USIU-Africa's Staff Council Chair for a period of 4 years. He's also the patron of USIU-A Rotaract Club. Wow. He's USIU-A CSR at Workplace Program Ambassador and also served as a member of USIU Task Force on Sexual Harassment. He has been involved in several senior employee searches. So he has over 13 years of experience working for USIU. He joined USIU in October 2010 as an institutional research assistant within the institutional planning and advancement, and has held various roles, including alumni affairs assistant within the same division, and his current role as an academic advisor. So in case there's something, Mr. Stephen, we haven't captured, you can go on after the introduction to give more about yourself. So he holds a Master's of Arts International Relations degree from USIU and a Bachelor of Arts in Political Science and Public Administration from the University of Nairobi. He is currently enrolled for Bachelor of Law degree at the University of Nairobi. Stephen is also an associate member of the Kenyan Institute of Management. So, Mr. Stephen Kiseli, welcome, karibu sana. It's a privilege to have you again for this session, and the floor is yours now. Hello. Okay. Let us give him a moment and then we can start off. So let's give him about 3 to 5 minutes. He's having a bit of some technical issues with his machine, then we can start.
Mm.
Maurice, your camera is on. Kindly switch it off. Yes, Kevin, your hand is up. Is that a question?
Did you use Made in China website? I can see that you are first only from Alibaba. Did you use Made in China website?
I'm asking, is there a meeting? I can't hear anything.
Yes, there's a meeting. Our speaker is having a slight technical challenge, but he'll sort it out in a bit. So let's just be patient.
Okay.
First, though, I have something you should see.
Hello, Kevin. Your hand is up. Is that a question?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Is the meeting on? I can't say anything.
What?
Did you get my question?
I've not heard you. Are you muting yourself or is someone muting you? Okay. Kevin, you're muted.
Yes. Can you hear me?
Hello? Hello?
Hey,
You are audible.
I'm audible.
yeah, we can hear you.
Look, thank God. I've been having technical issues. I'm sorry, first of all, for taking time to join. I think the time now we are running about 20 minutes late, so we had better start. My name has I've been introduced as Stephen Kiseli. I don't think Hope missed anything. She captured most of my biodata. It's always a pleasure to be at Cyber Shuja and mentor young people and interact with you young people for an evening session that we call the resume. I mean, the CV writing and resume writing. So basically this evening, what we are going to do is we are going to have a discussion. I normally like discussing. We go step by step. I have slides that I will share later with Hope, then she can share with you, because I've always known that when I share the slides, I tend to lose most people, but I'll share them still so that at least we can move step by step. What is a CV? Can somebody tell me what is a CV before we start? Now that our lesson today is about CV writing. Any volunteer? Could you share his slide? I could share history. Any volunteer? Am I still audible? Or you lost me again?
You're audible, sir.
I'm audible.
Yes,
Wilfred. I am audible. Thank you. Anybody who would like to volunteer, maybe to tell us what they know about a CV or what they've heard about a CV? Sandra, please go ahead. Sandra Otalo.
So, a CV to me, it's like a document where you describe your
your personal accomplishments, your education, your experience, the skills that you have. So it's a document that is purposely for employers to be able to decide whether or not you are fit for the role that they are advertising for.
Beautiful. I also see another hand. Okay. There's Kiprut Jipto.
Hi everyone.
Good evening.
I also wanted to say the same as Sandra, that it's a document representation of your goals, what you tend to do in life and what you have done already. And yeah, yes.
Beautiful. So in a nutshell, a CV is a document that just gives a brief account of who, for example, let me use Sandra. Who is Sandra? You see, this is the first document that comes into contact with the employer, okay? Or a potential employer for that matter. And from this is when the employer decides whether they need to invite you for an interview or your CV is boring enough that they wouldn't even want to look your way, okay? I want to share some few slides, just to see, I mean, why we do CVs, why we need CVs in the first place, what type of CVs are there in the, I mean, what type of CVs do we have? Okay. Just give me a second. My IT person is still trying to struggle. I'm having challenges today. I don't know. Just bear with me. Thank you. Can you see whatever I'm sharing?
Yes.
You can see it.
Yes, we can see it.
Okay, there we go. So how does one create an effective resume or CV? That is what I want you to learn today, this evening. I prefer to take questions as we proceed so that at least maybe if you take time to wait until I finish, it might escape your mind. So in case you have a question, kindly just raise your hands. If I miss it, I hope will assist me to have a look at it, and she'll definitely let me know.
Mr. Kiseli, your mic is muted. I don't know if that is intentional.
Okay. Why do we need a resume? One is to advertise ourselves. It's the first point of contact, as I said, with the employer. You advertise yourself. You give a nutshell or a brief account of yourself. That is, for example, who is Steve Kiseli? The introduction that was given by Hope when she was introducing me as the guest speaker today, that covers part of our resume. Can I see how many people can remember what was said about Steve Kiseli this evening? Just unmute yourself and say something if you can remember. Can you hear me?
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
You are undergoing, you are doing a degree law at UN. I remember her saying that.
Okay. Secondly.
Hello.
Hello.
I remember you have a master's degree from USIU, and you are a patron of, I think, a club also in USIU.
Okay. Okay. Somebody else?
Hello.
Hello, Samuel.
I also heard that you have a degree in arts and also political science, if I'm not wrong, in at University of Nairobi.
Okay, that was my undergraduate. Any other thing that somebody can remember?
Let me give it a try.
Please do.
So she mentioned that Kiseli has over 13 years of experience in USIU. He's also a graduate with a Bachelor of Art in Political Science from the University of Nairobi. He has a master's. And he's currently undertaking a degree in law in the University of Nairobi. Thank you.
Thank you. And one more that who forgot is that I'm also undertaking my PhD in armed conflict and peace studies from the Masinde Muliro University. So that is Kiseli in a nutshell, eh? Okay. That is what a resume is supposed to do, to leave an impression about, if I read your resume, I want to leave an impression and see who is this person. I can even maybe draw an image. I'm sure some of you, before you had seen my face, you would try to figure out huyu Kiseli anakaa namna gani, isn't it? Is he a short person? Is he a tall person? Is he a huge person? Isn't it? I'm sure you'd visualize, depending on the visual that you are receiving when Hope was describing the guest speaker. So how do we create an effective resume? Okay, those are the differences between a resume. A resume is normally short. A curriculum vitae, which is a CV, is normally as long as it takes. You encompass yourself in a nutshell. Let it be not so long. Also, let it not be very short. Don't leave out some critical information because you don't know what the employer might be looking at while you think this is more critical, isn't it? So the content must be all inclusive. In summary, that is the resume. You have to summarize your skills, your experiences, your education, and any other interests that you might have within your spheres. That maybe if you are a person who loves traveling, if you're somebody who loves socializing, what we call the soft skills. So these things nowadays, they are very, very important to most employers because as much as you're working, we don't want the work environment to be a dull spot. Okay. So why do we need a CV? Okay. I will start from this point. I don't know how many of us have just left high school, how many of us have left college, university. When we, for example, the students who take the Kenya National Secondary Education, that is the KCSE exams, you'll find that about 800,000 students who take the exam, isn't it? And maybe about 20, 30,000, 40,000 join the universities, another 20, 30,000 join the colleges and all that. So when you send your CV, maybe it might be one position. Okay, maybe they have advertised for an IT expert, IT maybe officer. You'll maybe have one position, but the applicants, as I've said, have been involved in a few exercises for senior hires. you'll find, for example, there's a position we advertised once and we only needed one position and we had about 40,000 applications. Okay, it's a very competitive world. So when you come to write your CV, one, you must give it your all. You must take time to tailor make each and every CV for the specific role that you're applying for. For example, if you're applying for an IT officer, okay, let's say something like what they call multimedia, you tailor make that application and the CV to suit that role. Make sure you pick the key performance indicators for that role, and you suit yourself and train yourself within those areas. Okay. If you get to see another maybe job application for something like maybe software, don't send the same CV you sent for multimedia. Already that one, if the employer sees that, they will see this is somebody who's not committed in what they're doing, and you are not fit for the role, so they will just kick you out. So each and every CV, remember, must be tailor-made for the specific role you're applying for. If you're applying for a role, make sure you apply for that role specifically. Each and every CV must be new, okay? Not unless you're applying for the same role, but also organizations vary, okay? So make sure you read the job advert well and make sure that whatever they are capturing, it is encompassed in your CVs, okay? As I said, the CV is what the employer comes into contact with first before they see the person who's applying for the job. And by the time they are reading your job application letter, they are reading a summary brief of yourself through the CV. The employer would already be willing to say, I'm willing to engage this person for the next level of discussion or not. Okay? So what does the CV start with? The CV, first and foremost, will entail what we call the personal data, okay, or the biodata. The personal details will include either the sex in terms of gender. For those who are willing, maybe marital status, date of birth, okay. They'll also include things like your email contact, your postal address contact if you have any. They'll also have something like your email. Those who want to go ahead, they'll even mention something like maybe your religion background, even though it's not very necessary. But that is your personal biodata, okay? In a nutshell, I'm Stephen, this is my PO box, this is my cell number, this is my email. I'm a Kenyan by birth. I was born in the year 1980. I'm a Christian by orientation, or Muslim or Hindu or Buddhist. I am male by orientation, gender, and marital status, I am married, okay? And in some cases, you might also want to include your current position where you are serving at currently. If you're a student, you might want to say you're a student, or you might want to ignore that, okay? Just like the corporates, the next line you'll have what we call the objective. What drives your passion, okay? What makes you wake up every morning looking forward to do? So you'll give an objective. Like, for example, you'll say to promote quality intellectual development by adding value to the organizations, maybe to individuals, to groups, you see? It's like a mission statement. You see, most organizations, they have a mission statement, isn't it? So this is your mission statement. This is your vision. In my interaction with the organization, 5-10 years from now, this is what I want to be, this is what I want to have achieved. This is what I want to bring on the table for this organization, okay? Then the next chapter would be, the next line would be, you'll start by the experience if you're working. Don't mention, no experience is not valid, okay? Every experience is valid. You are a member of a club, make sure you mention it. You belong to a specific group, maybe in the religious place where you worship, mention that. In the estates, you volunteer for these, Rotaract, Rotary, make sure you mention. Because, as I said, the current employer, unlike the conventional one, we look at all round. Is this person just going to come and deliver as an IT professional? Let me use IT for this evening. Allow me to use IT. Or a marketing professional? Is he just going to come and market our commodities? Or is it somebody who can interact with the rest of the organizations and also the other stakeholders that support the organization? Okay, so each and every experience is valid. I've worked for this 2 years at this spot. I've worked for 2 years at this spot. I volunteer at the estate as in the chair. You see, it shows your leadership skills. It shows that you're someone other than just work, you can be dependent on. Okay? Then you come and mention your education background. Education, you must start from the highest coming down. Okay? Like if you have a doctorate degree that you've completed, you say, I have a doctor in philosophy, in mathematics, which I did this place between this year and this year. I have a master's in mathematics, which I did in this university, this time, between this year. I have a master's. Okay. Other than that, I also have certifications in computer. I have certifications in management. I have certifications in all those diplomas and the certifications. Make sure that they come within that education sphere and the experience. Okay. Any questions so far? Iko swali?
A question.
Please
I have
do.
a question. Yeah, there's a point where you find someone has a lot of information, and it's being said that a good CV should be limited to around 3 pages. How many pages can someone put? Because if you put all these details, it will go even 10 pages. So, what are the necessary information that's required that employer really need? Because for me, sometimes I find maybe my CV maybe need to go to the 4th page. So I have to eliminate some things like hobby or maybe marital status or things like those. So what are some important information that is just required by employer and some that can maybe to avoid having a very long CV?
That's a good question. Even when you add all that information, strange enough, you'll find a regular CV will do between 3 pages and at most 4 or 5 pages. It will never go beyond there. But for personal biodata, your name is necessary, your postal address is necessary, your email address is necessary, your mobile number is necessary, year of birth is necessary, considering that you're in Kenya. If you are in the US, that would be illegal, because in the US that would be discrimination. They don't discriminate on age because they don't have a retirement age. So as long as you have the qualifications that are needed, you can apply. But here in this part of the world, the age is necessary because we normally retire at 74, at 60, sorry. So you'll find, for example, if maybe we need a role for someone like now, an IT, let me say an IT officer, for example. This is somebody maybe we intend to post somewhere like in a multimedia situation whereby they have to move from office to office, setting up maybe apparatus and all that. We don't want to employ somebody who's around 50 years to be going under the desks. Don't you think so? Am I making sense, Frederick? Frederick?
You make sense. You make sense.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so your age is necessary, year of birth. Your contact information is necessary because they have to reach out to you in case they are shortlisting you, and your name. Professional, educational background, that is compulsory. Your work experience is also compulsory. Academic qualification, also very compulsory. If you have any memberships, as Hope has said, I am a member of the Kenya Institute of Management. I'm an associate member. All those, they add value and enrich in your CV. Okay, they enrich your CV. So if you can put that information, I'm sure most of us it will not go beyond at most 4 pages. It won't go beyond 4 pages. The regular one should be around 3 pages. But you'll find even most, I can assure you, even I've seen CVs for senior professors. Okay. I've seen CVs for people who are senior within the industry, but most of them at most they'll have at least 4, 5 pages at most. Okay. So that information is most important because this you're just giving a brief description about yourself. There are those who maybe even go ahead and even put maybe a small photo, passport photo of themselves. Okay.
I have a question. Mr.
Yes.
Kiseli.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen a situation where those who are well educated like you
No, yet
have
get there.
maybe
Nyamazeni.
have a CV going even up to 50. Like for example, the late
Orpa,
Professor Magoa had
nikuje na jaketi ingine hapo ya color black
a
iko juu ya
CV of 90
kitanda.
pages. I'd have a CV of it had a CV of around 90 pages. There's also a managing director I know that has a CV of around 50 pages. How is that one? Is it under? Is it also categorized under CV? Because it's written a curriculum CV. Hello. Hello. Hello.
Hello. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, can hear you now.
Yes, yes. I'm saying that is quite in order. It's still a CV because, as you see, when you come to something like academia, academia thrives most either in teaching, okay, and research. So you'll find most of those CVs are made longer because of somebody's maybe is putting on the publications, how many publications they published, and you'll find maybe an institute researcher will publish maybe about 5, 6 articles within a year, or even maybe write a book chapter. Okay, maybe they even presented a paper in a conference. Okay, they'll also entail how many students have I supervised in the year. So maybe if, like now, for example, an average professor should supervise at least 4 students every semester. Okay, so imagine I'm supervising 4 in a year, that is about 12. So 12 students in a year, and including also the topics that they were researching on, that is how you end up to 90 pages. But a normal CV, no matter how learned you are, should at least go not more than 5 pages. Not unless now you're becoming exaggerated, you see. So a normal CV should be between 3, 5 pages. But for someone who's starting, 3 pages is sufficient to fill everything else. If possible, you can also mention the achievements you've achieved in your current role. As I said, you need to mention maybe your current role. For those who've not worked anywhere, you can say maybe you can even within the social strata, you can say maybe as a leader within my estate community, I managed to mobilize, make sure you mention that achievement. It shows this is a person who's a go-getter and result-oriented, okay? So any information you deem and you feel is necessary, don't leave it out, okay? The curriculum vitae comes from it's a Latin origin, which means the course of one's life. As I've said, is a brief summary about yourself. What is your life? Where did you start? Where are you at now? What have you achieved so far within your life? Okay.
Another question is.
Okay.
Another question.
Please go ahead.
Hello?
Yeah, I can hear you. Go ahead.
Yeah, there is a situation where like now we are pursuing the cybersecurity course, and I know there are some that have not maybe had a previous employment records. So
Yes.
let's say maybe we've gone through this and maybe we've gone through cybersecurity course, and you don't have any skill to mention in that CV, although you have the theoretical part of it. How can that one appeal? How can you make us now? How can just theoretical part without practical, or maybe there's no hands-on that you can mention that I've done this, and this. How can we put that in the CV that it can appeal to a potential employer?
One thing I know for sure is that there's no one who's ever fresh. Okay. Even when you're fresh, you're not fresh. Because I believe within this group, there are those people who are maybe student leaders within the colleges. There are those people maybe who participated in their religious places. Okay. You see, when you talk about experience, it does not mean necessarily for that job. And when, as an employer, when I'm looking around your CV, I'll want to see, okay, fine. You see, they divide the marks. Okay. They will say for professional competency, maybe we'll give 40. Socially, we'll give another 20. In terms of somebody who's able to mobilize, we'll give another 20. So you'll find they'll divide these marks across. So you might not gain in terms of fresh graduate, in terms of you don't have the tangible experience to do that duty, but in other areas, you're strong also. That is why I'm saying it's always very important not to omit anything you feel you've done for the society and you feel it's something that you need to mention in that CV. Because it's not just like now if I say maybe I want somebody in cybersecurity, I will look at cybersecurity, yes. That is why I'm employing you in the first place. Okay. I'm also cognizant of the fact that I'm dealing with fresh graduates from school. So I don't expect you to have 10 years experience. I don't expect you to have 5 years experience. Because when I'm getting somebody like that on board, you might have the certifications with you, like now the Cyber Shujaa certification, isn't it? You might also maybe have taken some certification elsewhere. So for me, when I look at that certification and I look at you, I'm able to say it's easy to train this person on this area so that now they can have the hands-on skills. But in terms of the academic skills, they're there. So just mention everything. Even if you volunteered maybe for a project, you volunteered for a project within the institution, maybe college, your studies, your study period, you volunteered for something, make sure you mention it. Okay? Because everybody must start from somewhere. Even personally, I started from somewhere with zero experience. So everybody must start from somewhere and you build the experience, isn't it?
Yes.
Okay. So now, the two main types of CVs. One is the chronological, which we also call the traditional, and the other one is called the skill-based or functional CV, or a combination of each. Okay. The chronological is what we've said, the one that I described earlier. I'll also describe it as I come to an end, as we write a CV now, when I'll tell you now to pick your pens and just note something down. Okay. And there's also now the other skill-based is where maybe they've asked, we want a specific person to just develop software. So this is where you just go in directly and delve in it and say, this is what I've developed. I'm strong in this. I have this certification. You don't have so much information about yourself. Okay. For skill-based is normally used for consultancies mostly, unlike for those people who are looking to be hired as professionals. Okay. So normally, as I said, the personal information is what opens up a CV. It's what should come at the top of the page. Here, I'd like you maybe to take a few notes. On top there, you might want to include curriculum vitae as a headline, or you might want to ignore it. In some cases, you ignore, you just start with your name directly. Then you give your personal information, okay? That is, as I said, your name, your contact information, and year of birth. That is bare minimum. Then from there, you come to your personal information, okay? Whereby you open the CV, you say, you talk about your academic experience, then you talk about your education experience, then talk about your achievements, if you have any, okay? Then from there, you might also want to mention a very, very important aspect that I see some of the students miss in the CV. If you've done community participation, let us know as well. And finally, there must be somebody who's willing to check out your story. This is the person we call the referee. A very important aspect of your CV as well. Some people will mention and quote a referee that maybe they've not spoken to for a whole year. But because you know them, or maybe they were your faculty, or maybe your lecturer, or maybe he's your uncle or somebody, you'll want to write him as a referee. A referee is somebody who can either make or break for you. So as you're picking your referees, make sure that it's somebody that has interacted with you, it's somebody who knows you well, it's somebody who is, in the case they are called, they can give a brief account about yourself without even thinking about it. Okay? Are we together? Naturally, there will be 3 referees. Okay? 1 for social, 1 professional, and just 1 more. Maybe to just, if you are employed, a former employer. If you're a student coming straight from college, maybe 1 of your professors or 1 of your lecturers. Okay. And when you apply for a position, in most cases, always just inform them. First of all, it's also courteous just to request and ask, can I maybe quote you as my referee in my CV? Because I've seen in some cases, we will call the referee and they will not even appear. They will tell you, hey, I've not spoken to that person for the last 5 years. Okay. And in your CV, you've said I've known this person for the last 10 years. Already that doesn't check out. Now we say this person is not straightforward. That is how we eliminate your CV. Tuko pamoja? Ama tulipotea?
Yes.
We are together still.
Pamoja.
Asante. I hope everybody understands
Yes,
a bit of
yes.
Swahili so that I don't lose you. So as you pick your referee, don't pick your mother or daddy as a referee, because they'll have a tendency of doing what? Being biased, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. Your mom or your dad cannot be a referee, not unless it's something to do with the church or something to do with a social event. But if it's work, one of them must be professional, either a former employer, your boss, who's somebody who's worked with you, or your faculty who's trained you or taught you in class, and they can attest to your capability within that role. The other one must be a social person. You'll find either most of them will go maybe for a pastor, some of them will go for an imam, depending on your religious indoctrination, or even maybe your neighbor, somebody who's interacted with you maybe in a forum whereby you interact maybe as a committee for that is in the estate leadership. Someone like that can also be a referee. Okay. So I've said at least they should be about 3. In some cases, if it's somebody sensitive, like for example, you've worked with let me just an hypothetical example. Maybe you worked on a project, maybe that involved the head of state. Then you wouldn't give their contacts on there as a referee. They might give you the consent to put them as a referee, but that one you cannot put. So you'll say referees information will be done what? On request, will be shared on request. Okay. And on the same length, in terms of the referees, that's why I'm saying it's also prudent for you to just ask. Yes, Yatunyi, you can ask. Brian, I see you have a question.
Yeah, hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, so my question is, in the part of referees, in the past, like I tried to ask some people if I can include them as my referee.
Yes.
But the problem is that most of them like refused. So I ended up just writing my father, and it was just only one referee. Like let's say if you are a pagan and you don't go to church, and maybe you are an introvert, and
at least you have a neighbor.
Yeah, but let's say like maybe if your neighbor like doesn't, let's say like maybe if you are not in good terms, like who can you include as your referee? Because like these things happen. Like currently in my CV, I only have.
Friends have you made?
Yeah.
Since you in the cyber,
Sorry?
yeah. How many friends have you made?
I think there are only two. I haven't interacted with most of them.
Those are two referees right there.
Oh, okay.
You see, this is somebody who can just check out your story. Okay. You don't necessarily not necessarily. That is why I said it doesn't necessarily have to be somebody who is spiritually indoctrinated. It might be somebody you went to high school with. Might be somebody, a teacher who taught you in high school. Okay. Maybe you were a prefect in high school. Okay. This one I'm mentioning because I know most of us are fresh graduates. You can even go back to high school. I don't know whether Hope mentioned that I'm also the Secretary General of my high school alumni group that I left about 30 years, 35 years ago. And I'm very active. I mentor also there. So it can go back to that level. And some of my referees are actually guys I went to high school with 30 years ago plus.
So let's say like even I can include like some of my friends as the referees.
As long as they can check out your story.
Like the high school friends. Sorry, the high school friends.
Exactly.
They are in university.
Check out your story. But you see, as you now start building up on your career, you'll find that you're getting more and more referees. Actually, I can assure you, you'll get to a point whereby you'll be so lost that you won't even know who to choose and not to choose. There will be so many.
Okay, thank you. Because in the past I thought, because in the past I thought that it was supposed to be someone who was like maybe who was a big role, or maybe who had some big seat, like maybe like some big role in the office, some big role. I don't know if you understand that. So, but
yeah.
Thank you for
not everybody knows everybody who has a big role, isn't it?
Okay.
And you see, the whole idea for a referee is somebody who can just say, whatever this gentleman or lady is telling us on this document, I can confirm it is true. Okay. Have you worked with them? Yes, I schooled with them. Or I taught them in high school. They were a prefect here. He's an industrious young man. That is all we need. Your faculty, they can also attest as a referee. So basically, you don't need to go to those top level, because now you see, like now if you're going for somebody like a CEO, okay? A CEO has more than 10, 20 people looking for his signature to be their referee, isn't it? And they cannot keep abreast with that. Also, their daily chores and work duties also are very strict. So you'll find most of them, they cannot manage to put up with the pressure of the numbers of the CVs that they're receiving as a referee. So at times it's also good to go mid-level. Somebody who, when they'll be called, they will not ask, you're saying Kevin who? You see, the moment the referee says Kevin who, as an employer, I've already grown cold feet, isn't it?
Yes.
Yes. I see a few other hands.
Okay,
Can they unmute and ask the question one by one? I see there are about 3, 4.
Yes, hello, sir.
Hello, how are you?
I'm good.
Yes.
Yeah, my question is, there was a section you said the issue of address, that's PO box.
Mm-hmm.
Is it okay to put Nairobi, or you put where you come from? Because someone once told me that you might not be considered when they see you come from a certain region. Just clarify on that.
See, that is discrimination right there.
Because now Nairobi
Nonetheless, the job application says that we need people from this locality. Okay. When you see a job application, you should assume that it is open for everyone within this republic and outside of this republic. Okay.
Yes.
So you'll use the postal address that you feel is going to be convenient for you. And if you feel it might disadvantage you, then basically you can go for the email and the phone number.
All right.
Because basically what they need is a place whereby they can reach out to you in case they shortlist you for the next stage.
Okay.
Yes. There were other two questions. Anybody else? There were 3-4 hands on up.
Hello.
Hello.
I wanted to
Identify
ask
yourself and you ask your question.
Oh, my name is Ruth. I wanted to ask, but I'm not sure if you've already mentioned.
No
is
problem.
There a way we are supposed to differentiate these referees? How will the employer know this is my neighbor, this is for professional purposes, and this one
believe you me, they will know. You see how they will know? When I look at your CV as I'm scrolling down, okay, and I see, for example, you went to Maseno University, and I see your referee number 1 is Professor Odhiambo, for just as an example. So I will definitely know Professor Odhiambo from Maseno. I'll definitely know this is somebody you interacted with in Maseno, isn't it? True or false? Then maybe I see you belong to the Kasarani Neighborhood Association, whereby you mobilize youth to clean the estate, mobilize youth to enhance security, and then I see somebody, maybe a Motiso there, who says that they live in Kasarani as the chair of the Kasarani Neighborhood Association. I've already picked up. That is a social referee. So the employer will always pick up. That is why I'm saying when you're writing these documents, msikuwe na ile tabia wa Kenya. Mnajua tabia wa Kenya?
Tuambie.
Nani anajua tabia wa Kenya? Whereby a job advert is advertised and they are told that they will close applications by 5th of January, for example. At 5th of January at midnight. Si ndio? Saa 5 mchana Mkenya anakuambia bado iko time. Si ndio? And then at about 10 p.m. they want to rush and write a CV and send it. It doesn't work that way. You need to have your A game as you're writing your CV, because the CV is what determines whether you will have a job or you'll be considered for the second stage. So make sure you create good time. Look at the advertisement. If possible, memorize it by heart. Then now write your CV. Then compare it with the adverts, the job adverts, okay? Word for word. So that by the time you're sending it, you are assured that this document could never be any perfect. And if possible, you can even share with your friend and ask them, or maybe even now a relative, and ask them, can you have a look at this and see whether it is polished well? Okay? What I'm trying to say is never write a CV in a rush, because it will be picked up by somebody who's reading through it. They will just look at it and they will see this thing was rushed through. Okay. Another question? I see it's on 3 hands up. I see Kevin, I see Ruth.
Yeah, I have another one. Let's assume, but it's not even assuming, because we are just new in cybersecurity.
Let's assume.
And yeah.
Better to assume for this case.
Yes. And you have seen an advert for a security role and you feel you can do it. And the experience you have is maybe IT support. And your CV is indicated that you are still ongoing with the cybersecurity course at Cyber Shujaa. So do you have to edit the role that you are currently to fit the job, or what should you do?
Number one, never lie in a CV because it will be picked out. Even if we shortlist you and call you for the interview, the panel will always pick, they will poke holes in your CV if you lie, okay?
Yes.
If you're applying for a role that you're still ongoing, just mention you're still ongoing, okay?
Yes.
Let the employer, if they want to take a chance with you, let them take a chance. But never lie in your curriculum vitae because it will be picked up. Okay? Because one thing, there's something called the flow of a CV. A CV that you're trying to cook up information will never flow. As somebody is reading through it, they'll always pick the variance, the discrepancies.
Yeah.
So just be truthful. Take your chances, you never know. Maybe among the people who have applied, when they consider the other key areas, maybe like maybe social adaptability, you will find that you're even the most qualified candidate. Okay?
Yes. Yes.
Always come to the table with the clean hands. Just be truthful. Any other question?
Yeah, on that question, on the Samsung one, because just like maybe I'm a technical IT technical person, but I've done cybersecurity, but with no experience. Though I want to specialize in cybersecurity, but I don't have skills. Although in technical support, I have skills. How can I convince this potential employer that that I can do something in cybersecurity because I want to specialize in cybersecurity. I don't have skills, but I have
You already have a plus.
the knowledge.
I want you to look. I want you look yourself as a commodity that is already. I won't call it half baked. That is already baked. Okay. As it is, you already have the technical side. You get it?
Yeah.
In terms of qualifications, you already understand what is cybersecurity. What you don't have and are lacking currently is the hands-on experience on the cybersecurity, isn't it? Of which, by the fact that you're already well grounded within the technical area, for you to cross over and be trained within the cybersecurity might be more easier than somebody who's coming in as fresh cybersecurity. You get it?
Yeah, yeah.
So always sell yourself and always believe and convince yourself I'm the best candidate. Don't look at what you don't have. Just look at what you have. I might not have this experience, but I have the certificate, meaning I've already been trained. You don't need to take me back to college, okay? And I've already worked in technical area. I'm perfect. I can do it without even any supervision, okay? So you're better placed than somebody who's just coming in fresh and saying, I've done cybersecurity, and they don't even have any background. You already have a technical experience, so you are better off. Duncan, I see you also have your hands up.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm Duncan, also one of the guys who's taking cyber security. So just when I've graduated last year, I've been making several job applications, but like I'm kind of too much running the Western way in that most of the applications I'm making, I'm using a resume rather than a CV. Does it implicate maybe the application or just okay?
You have to put the CV. You see, when you put an application, it has nothing. It doesn't talk about you.
Like I'm referring to a resume. A resume just to kind of describe maybe your achievements, what you you have ever done or a problem you ever solved, but like it doesn't give the detailed information about that education, everything that
Yeah, you have
might
to
be.
you have to put detailed information about yourself. You see, when I'm looking at it and you tell me about your achievements and I can't see your educational background, as an employer, I don't have to look at that CV again because I feel like you're hiding something from me. You see, like, the ones that now, the ones you're talking about achievements, as I said earlier on, they're the ones that I use mostly for consultancy. Because you're not looking for a job, you're looking for consultancy. So this is what I can do. I have done this with these people, I've done this for this organization, I've done this for this organization. So this is what I can do. Okay.
Yeah.
So it is more important that you mention each and everything because you're looking for a job. Academics must be there. Work experience, if you have, must be there. Achievements, if you have, must be there.
So like in Kenyan context, you just have to use a CV and there's no need for you to use a resume.
Yes.
Excellent,
Just use a CV. In Kenyan context, if you are looking for a job, it's always safe to use a CV.
Right, okay, thank you.
But it's more detailed.
Maybe just to add on to that, from Mr. Kiseli, that was Duncan. Most of these applications do say attach CV or resume. And then kindly, Mr. Kiseli, let me assist you with the hands that are up. We pick those who haven't asked a question yet, and then we can continue, then the rest can come.
I can see there are about 5 hands, so just help me with the hands.
Yes, let's have Evelyn Awero, go ahead.
Thank you so much. My name is Evelyn. My question basically is on the formatting rules. Do you have some formatting rules to observe? Like, for instance, on the biodata where you're supposed to talk more about yourself and giving the personal information. So basically the question is, am I supposed to give a listing or it must be a paragraph? How do I go about it? Thank you.
Paragraphs are always good as compared to listing, and they're more neat. They look a bit neater than listings, isn't it? Where necessary, you can list, but when you can use a paragraph, they always look more neat. You should also have a neat document. I'll share a few samples. I'll send to Hope, then maybe she can share with a few samples with you. You have a look. The document should also be neat and attractive to read. You see, at the end of the day, the employer is human. They need to be impressed by what they are looking at. If it is shoddy and it's just a listing, just a bullet point, somebody will look at it and they'll be like, okay, there's no creativity here. Okay. So if you can use a paragraph, maybe where there is need for bulleting, you can do that. A mixture of each, that would be much better. The outlook is also very important. Hope, the next one.
Yeah. Then James, you can go ahead. James, you can unmute your mic.
Thank you. Thank you for this opportunity. Now, for somebody, say, who graduated like 2018, computer science, and then since 2018, I've been in tech partially, not partially to mean that not involved directly in tech. So I'm a networks guy, but since 2018, I've not been involved with networks that much. Then now I want to transition from whatever I'm doing now, because the main challenge from 2018 up to now, you see, it is some time that I've amassed, not anything to do with networks, not anything to do with I'm an IT trainer, so digital skills trainer in that aspect. So right now, the challenge that I've really faced is, how then do you transition? How do you customize your CV? How do I customize my CV transition to, because the knowledge is there. I've been doing my certifications in cybersecurity, in networks, in Cisco's and all that. So how do I now convince somebody? Because I don't want to get to the starter job. That one will be way too, I think, you know, the challenge there. So how do I then convince it within my CV? How do I convince the employer that actually this thing that you're going to give me, I am able to, I am, as much as I've not been here, but it is a knowledge that I have and I am able to deliver it within that CV without even getting to the interview.
Okay, as I've said earlier, there's no knowledge that is not important when it comes to the CV. Okay. You've actually responded to your own question. You've been in training, if I got you, isn't it?
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. I'm saying yes, I've been in training.
You've been in training and all that. You see, the moment you're training yourself, it means you're trainable, isn't it? You understand the tenets of training, you understand the aspects of training. So basically it means even you are trainable. And as long as you're already in that sphere and you've been doing it. So basically, like now, for example, I'm actually talking to the right lot, that is the IT team, isn't it? If there's a world that is fast evolving with the IT sector, isn't it? True or false?
True.
So whenever there's a new certification in the market, do you go back to the university to study, or what do you do?
You just go for the certification.
Exactly. So as long as you're already within the space, always consider yourself one step ahead. So don't look at what you don't have. As I said earlier, look at how much am I bringing to the table and bargain with that. You see, at the end of the day is how you sell yourself. Do you have the confidence? You see, when you come to me and tell me, I have worked on this area and I was good in this area, I achieved 1, 2, 3, but now I'm stepping into the new area that I'm a bit not very comfortable. You see, it shows that you're already having self-doubts. And nothing ever happened when you have self-doubts. So believe in yourself and believe this thing, I can ace it. I'm already in this space and I'm coming to claim the new space. That is why I went for the cybersecurity training, isn't it? Because I wanted to change career. If you listen to my resume, I was in political science, I'm in IR, I'm a bit in law, now I'm a bit in peace and conflict as well. Okay? In this world, you cannot be a jack of one trade, and unfortunately, you have to juggle within a few areas. But at the end of the day, they will converge at some point, whereby they'll come and all the knowledge will be converging at some point. So whatever knowledge you are gaining within the training within the IT sector, at some point, if you look at the cybersecurity and what you've been doing, they will come and converge at some point. Some of the knowledge that you're doing right now will be very needful as you go ahead within your cybersecurity career. Am I making sense?
Yes.
There's no knowledge that goes to waste. At some point, it will always converge. There's a reason why you sat down and said, the next 5-10 years, I want to focus on cybersecurity. You had your plans. And I'm sure within that cybersecurity training, there's some knowledge that, based on your training so far, the training that you're carrying on, I'm sure some instances, you manage to ferry the experience you have and use them on the course that you've been doing. True or false?
True.
Hello?
That's true.
Yeah, they'll always intertwine at some point. They'll always converge. So whatever knowledge you are having coming onto the cybersecurity, it will always converge, because it's not like now, for example, you are doing medicine and then maybe, for example, you decide to go and become a cook. Even when you're cooking and you're from medicine, they'll converge at some point. At some point, you'll be mixing chemicals, not madawas, isn't it? Utakuwa unachanganya kitunguu, nyanya, huku unachanganya madawa, sivyo? And that's why for those who've gone through the university, they will tell you, we give you power to read and do what? All that appertains to that degree. Meaning that whatever knowledge you have, at some point it has to become relevant. No knowledge goes to waste. Okay. Another question?
Okay, so Mr. Kiseli, I'd like to give you the chance to go on with the slides, then we can take 2 last questions at the very end.
I think
Yeah.
I'm actually done with my slides. The next one should be
Oh.
Q&A.
Okay.
So
Then
remind me tomorrow I share a few CVs, so that maybe you can share with the class. And as usual, for those who they might want me to have a look at their CVs, you can also share with them my email address. They can send me the CVs. I'll have a look at them. And maybe if there's 1 or 2 places we can tweak, we can do that. I'll be glad to assist.
Thank you so much. So is it okay if I forward your email so that they can send their CVs, or how do you want us to go about it?
Exactly. As we do it, I don't have a problem with my email.
Okay.
You can give them my Gmail.
Okay. So
Yes.
I'll send Mr. Kiseli's Gmail to the WhatsApp group, and you can send your CV for review.
For those who want to be reviewed, they can send their CVs. I'll review maybe over the weekend and send it back.
Okay. So the hands that are still up, those are really pressing questions that haven't been answered yet.
I see there are 3.
Okay. So we'll do
Let me
this.
pick
I'll
those.
take.
We can pick these 3.
Okay.
Yeah, let me pick.
Let's take Samuel Kadima. Go ahead and mute your mic.
Thank you very much for the opportunity. I had 3 questions to ask. One of them is you've told us that we should include everything in the CV. So my question is, at the academic background, is it necessary for you to put?
By everything, I don't mean. What do you mean by everything?
So everything that you've done. So I just wanted to ask, is it necessary for you to to put in the grade you've gotten in your KCSE, in your degree? The second question.
That is important.
Is that,
if you can. Let me answer as we go.
The
That is okay. You can do that. You will say, I went to high school at this high school, did KCSE in this year, attended this grade. That is okay.
But,
even though in some cases you also attach your, what do you call it?
Your documents. So,
yeah, the documentation, so there's no problem.
Okay. My second question is that some of us, when we completed our Form 4, that gap between the completion of the Form 4 and joining campus, some of us had an opportunity to work. So my question is, do we consider or categorize that as a volunteer experience, or is that a career?
It's volunteer.
Are you working at that point? That's a volunteer.
You see, are they paying you?
Maybe they appreciate you and give you like fair.
Something small stipend for your bus fare and all that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can call it internship.
And what about?
You see, even when you volunteer, it also adds some value new, because they will see this is somebody who can also volunteer. They are not so greedy for money at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Yes.
My third question.
You see when they're reading the CV, sorry, let me just explain that. When they're reading the CV, they will try to read in between the lines to see the information that you're not giving out. Okay. So some of this information you might give, you might think is not very relevant. Like now, if you say I'm a volunteer, they will be like, okay, so this is somebody who's willing to give back to the society without being paid. So to some organizations that value so much CSR, to them that will be a plus. Unanielewa?
Okay.
Yeah. The
Yes.
third question.
The third question is, can you have more than 3 internships? In that one you did after maybe Form 4, the other one you did when you're in campus, and the last one you did it after the campus. Is it
Yes,
possible?
you can. Yes, you can. The beauty of that is you compile the experience. If it was 1 year of each, you have 3 years experience, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes, it's okay.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you, Samuel. So we'll have Victor and then Ruth as our last one. Anyone else with a question, I'll pass the email. Victor, go ahead. Victor?
Oh, hi. You can hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes, we can.
Oh, sorry. Oh, my name is Victor. Hi, Mr. Kiseli. Okay, my question is, you might find the job opportunities written ICT officer. I don't know which job group, but you are saying that we should like somehow specify if it's multimedia, if it's cybersecurity. So I was wondering if you see a job opportunity, a job vacancy somewhere being advertised and it's ICT officer. So how should we upload our credentials, everything, even if you have like 5 certifications? So that was my burning question. Thank you.
Yes, you should. Actually, I remember when I said, when I gave that as an example, when you're applying maybe for an ICT officer in multimedia, and another role is maybe in software or cybersecurity, you should be able to mention, you don't use the same CV for the same role, because the two roles are slightly different, isn't it? You just don't handpick the same CV you send to an employer about maybe applying for a multimedia position, and now you on the newspaper you see another position for something like cybersecurity, and use the same CV for the cybersecurity. That's what I meant.
Okay, I think you have not yet gotten. I think I've phrased it the wrong way. I'm saying like if there is a job vacancy advertised like for ICT officer without like specifying is it multimedia, cybersecurity, or support, just ICT officer.
You just
How
apply.
should you? Yeah.
You apply that. As I said, every role. You remember when I said that you need to read each and every role and memorize it word for word if possible.
Okay.
Whatever will
For
guide
example,
you. We see when they say we want an ICT officer, they will describe the role, isn't it? They will say this role will be doing 1, 2, 3.
Okay. For example, I've seen job adverts for county government, and like they have said they want ICT officer, procurement officer, blah blah blah. They have not really specified the job role. So should we upload everything or?
Yes, you should. But when you go to that advertisement, there must be what we call a job description.
Okay.
The JD. Because you see, when you say an ICT officer, an ICT officer in Kiambu County might not be the same as an ICT officer in Kengen. And they might not have the same role as an ICT officer in USIU. Okay?
Yeah. Yeah.
So what they need to do is they need to, first of all, there must be a job description. So that job description is what you're supposed to click on the link. There must be a job description. So on that job description, you need to base your CV around that job description, the role. That is what I'm calling the role. Am I making sense, Victor? Hello?
Yes, you are. Yes, you are. Yes, you are. Sorry, I was on mute.
No problem. So when you click on that job advert, if you go maybe to the web page for that county and click on that job advert, there must be a job description.
Okay.
Yes, there's no job vacancy which will ever be advertised without a job description. Yes, yes. So just check the job description, anchor your CV around the job description. Make sure that your CV captures those areas. Look at where you're strong, look at where you're weak. Because as I said, they don't look at one spot, they'll look at various aspects of the CV before they make up their mind whether to call you for the next stage or not.
Okay.
Okay. The final question before we call it a day.
Ruth, go ahead. Ruth, okay, there you go. Ruth, you're unmuted, but we can't hear you. Hello, Ruth. Ruth? Okay, so I think Ruth is having a technical issue.
She can send an email, maybe?
Yes. Kindly send an email, Ruth. And as we said, Ruth will be the last question. So the other questions too, send on email. So let's come to the end of the session.
Let me just say thank you before you wind up.
Okay.
And also apologize for the technical glitch ahead. It took a while before I could join. I think my laptop was having issues with the speaker. I don't know. I dropped it. So it was having technical issues with the speakers. So poleni sana for joining a bit late, but I believe we've learned something. Let's continue interacting, and all the best in your future endeavors as you go out there as Cyber Shujaa graduates and look for jobs. Not necessarily jobs. I also would wish to hear some who are looking forward to be employers as well. And in case we meet in another world, so don't forget to say asante sana na karibu. Na usinipite unisalimu tu. Sawa sawa. Otherwise, have a blessed evening and enjoy yourselves. And thanks a lot for sharing with me your last 1 hour, 15 minutes. I don't take it for granted. You'll be doing something else, but I'm glad you stayed with me and you engaged me at least. At times you talk peke yako until you get bored and you wonder, am I still in class or I'm not making sense? Thanks a lot for engaging me. And for the active ones, I appreciate you. Thanks for making the session at least entertaining. Thanks, Hope, again for having me on board. It's always a pleasure to come on board for Cyber Shujaa. I also learn a few things as I interact with the students, and it's always a pleasure and a joy to be here this evening. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Kiseli. Thank you for going above and beyond and even extending. You didn't give up on us, even with the technical issue. Also, I hope wameona uso wasikupite. Then, as we come to the end of our session, I'd like us to just reflect on what we've learned on CV writing. I'd also advise to update and also apply for those jobs when this knowledge is still fresh. I'd also request Mr. Kiseli to kindly forward the slides so that I can forward them to the mentees. And so later on, they can also refer to that. Also, our recordings are always up on the Cyber Shujaa YouTube page. So in case you missed the beginning of this session or the previous sessions, kindly check that out. In addition to that, there's the resources I shared from Gerald, a speaker we had some time back. Kindly also look at those resources and see the pages he shared also on CV writing and even comparing the CV you've written with the job description that has been given for that particular job. So allow us to come to the end of this session. I hope we have learned CV writing. I hope whatever issues we had on referees and all that has been cleared. And as we mark your CVs for the soft skills class, I hope I shall see a difference in our CVs in accordance to what we have talked about today. So thank you, everyone, and have a lovely night.